Hi, in this quick video, I'm going to go over the last most challenging problems on the pivot table 2 exercises. They require a couple of steps, and this is using the Clery Act data. We've heard about the Clery Act data a little bit. This is a download of one of, I believe, 27 spreadsheets that comprise the current data set, and it reports disciplinary actions by the university for drug, weapons, and liquor offenses that were reported on campus during these given years, 15, 16, and 17. So this is not arrests necessarily, but this is disciplinary offenses from the university, and for offenses, again, committed on campus. Separate spreadsheets show off campus, near campus, and different kinds of offenses. So looking at the data, there are approximately 11,000 universities in the United States that have to comply with the Clery Act because they receive some federal money. And this includes schools we've heard of, like Miami University, and others we probably haven't, like the Ann Webb Skin Institute in Austin, Texas. On each university, and as I said, 11,000 rows. On each university, the data includes this unique identifying number, and if you open it up and it looks like that, it's just because it's shrunk too small and showing it in scientific notation, which is not helpful for a number like that. But okay, the name of the institution, branches and main campuses are listed separately. Address, then we have city, state, so we can filter for Ohio schools quite easily. Zip, then we have the sector CD and sector description. This is a code that, these are the same information, and it says what kind of school this is. A public 4-year school, public 2-year, private nonprofit, private for-profit, and so on. Number of men, number of women, total number of students. And then here is the number of weapons, drugs, and liquor disciplinary offenses for 3 years, 15, 16, and 17. So, first question I ask, how many universities are there in each category? Private 2-year, private 4-year, public 4-year, etc. All right. So that's this column here, and we are going to do these questions with pivot tables. I'm going to start by highlighting the whole thing. Data, summarize the pivot table. Now we know we want to know the number of each. So I put the sector description in rows, and this is what we want there. And then for each of these, we want to know the number of schools there are in each category. And we know that there's a unique ID for each school. We don't want to sum them, though. That doesn't make sense. We're going to count them. Okay. So reading this, that means we have one school that is just an administrative unit, 900 private for-profits, almost, 700 private for-profit 4-year, Miami, about 1,800 4-year and above public universities. So that's the number of schools in each category. But what I want to know next is how many, so that's 12, 13, how many, on average, and how many students are cited for alcohol violations at university of each type? What is the relative risk of getting caught in these different places? So if we want to know and how many students are cited for alcohol in each type of university, we need to know how many students go to each type of university and how many alcohol citations were given at each type of university. And we'll use the most current year, 2017. So this is the total number of students for each school. I hit it and it came down here as sum, and that is what we want, right? We want the sum of all the students in each type of university. Almost 30 million kids going to public 4-year schools. Next, which seems like a lot, but remember there are 300 million Americans. It starts sounding more possible. Okay, and then we said liquor 2017, and the sum of liquor violations. So this one is the count of the number of schools in each category, but this is the total number of students in all of those schools in each category. And here's the total number of liquor violations in all of the schools in each category. And now we're going to do a little math to turn this into a rate or a one-in figure. And rather than do our math on this pivot table, life is easier if you copy it like this, edit, copy, and I'm just going to paste it down here, but I'm not just going to paste it. I'm going to go edit, paste special, values. Now the thing about the pivot table is you can't really manipulate it because it's this live table that's linked back to the original sheet. You can't move stuff around or change it. But this is just numbers in columns, and so you can. So I'm going to type in 1 in how many So 1 in how many students were cited for drinking? Well, to do that, we take this number of students for each university, for each category, I'm sorry, and divide by the number of citations. Well, that didn't work so great for the administrative unit, but for everybody else, we get real numbers. Interesting that private nonprofit, less than 2-year schools didn't give any liquor violations. A lot of those are probably, I don't know, some of them might even be online schools, barber colleges, who knows. All right. But, so we see that at public 4-year and above schools, about 1 in 400 schools got violations. Or I'm sorry, 1 in 400 people. Private schools, about 1 in, oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Public, yeah. Private schools, about 1 in 250. Well, so here is your answer. Nationally, about 1 in 400 college students at a public 4-year school was cited for drinking in 2017. And now we could even filter this just to look at, say, public 4-year schools in Ohio. Let's do that. Now I'm moving a little beyond the question here, so I'm just doing a little exploring. But what if we put state in the filters here? We just looked at Ohio. Now I'm basically doing the same thing again, but this is just Ohio. No, whoops, no, I'm sorry. Number of students divided by number of offenses. Well, not so far off from the national figures. This might well be Miami's comparison group, other 4-year and above public schools in Ohio. All right, so that's how you calculate some rough rates and ratios using the pivot table there. Now keep in mind, this is some very blunt numbers here. You probably to compare Miami more closely, you probably want to look at it relative to public 4 years. Right down here. Alrighty, thanks for coming.